Lisa liked her new neighbors. Rita was simply indescribable. Her husband was a taciturn giant who obeyed his wife without question, and they were all like a fairy tale family, a real, loving family. By the evening, Anne set the table. Rita examined the house and said, "Well, there is still a lot of work to do, of course, but now you can live here." Comparing what she saw when she first arrived to what it looked like now, Lisa found it hard to believe that this was the same place. Before leaving, Anne brought some very cute napkins and towels, and now Lisa's dwelling could even be called cozy. Over dinner, Rita told her about the villagers and about how many berries and mushrooms grow here. Michael just nodded approvingly. "Don't worry, Lisa. We'll find you a job and a groom." Lisa laughed. "Come on, Aunt Rita. I don't need a groom. I'd rather stay single." "What do you mean, no need? That's how it should be. People create families, give birth to children, live together, and help each other." Lisa waved it off. "Oh, come on. Just one couple out of 1,000. Most just break up and abandon their children." Rita sighed. "I don't know what happened in your family, but don't think it's normal. But over time, living here, you will understand." And Lisa adapted very quickly. In just a week, she realized that she could relax a little, that here, in the village, she shouldn't expect a catch from every person she met. Here, people say what they think. Sometimes it sounds a little rough, but at least you can be sure that no one holds a grudge against you. She was hired to work in a kindergarten. They didn't pay very much, but Lisa spent almost nothing, because as soon as the villagers found out that she was from an orphanage, they began bringing her everything they could. At first, Lisa tried to refuse, but people were genuinely offended. From the heart, over time, they all tried to feed her and give her gifts. Just yesterday, when she was walking home from work, old man Nick called out, "Lisa, come in for a minute. The old woman has prepared something for you." Lisa sighed and turned to their gate, where the grandmother was already waiting. "Here are cucumbers and tomatoes. They yielded wonderfully this year. Take them." Seeing real horror in the girl's eyes directed at the 2 baskets full of vegetables, the grandmother hurried to reassure her. "Oh, don't worry, Lisa. The old man will help carry them. Everything will come in handy for the winter." In those 2 months that Lisa lived in the village, she learned a lot. First, together with Rita, she planted beds in the yard, which Michael first plowed with a tractor. Then she learned to water, thin out weeds, and even tried some things from her beds. She learned not to wake up when Rita's crazy rooster flew onto her fence right under the bedroom windows, to crow his songs at dawn. The next day, Lisa had a day off, and she decided to spend the whole evening pickling vegetables. The grandmother was right. Everything would come in handy for the winter. In the evening, Anne ran in. "Mom sent mushrooms." "What? Are mushrooms going already?" Anne snorted. "Well, of course they went. The forest starts right after your vegetable garden. Just don't go too far." Early in the morning, Lisa took a basket that she found in the attic and went to the forest. The mood was great. She had never picked mushrooms before, although she knew how to do it. The beauty around her was indescribable. Fog lay in the lowlands, and the sun rose behind the forest. With delighted cries, Lisa mentally thanked the stingy officials whose greed had brought her here. And despite the sleepless night, some truck driver was racing around the village endlessly. She didn't regret at all getting up at dawn this time. She found the first mushroom right at the edge of the forest and immediately felt the thrill of the mushroom picker. After 2 hours, her basket was full of small but dense white caps. Regretfully looking around, there is so much here. There are raspberries behind those bushes, cloudberries from last year on that swamp. Lisa thought for a minute, put down her basket under a large, noticeable oak, covered it with weeds, took off her scarf, made something like a bundle, and went to collect cranberries. She didn't even notice how time flew by, but her rumbling stomach reminded her that it was time to go home. Good heavens, she had spent a whole day in the woods. When Lisa straightened up and stretched her aching back, she froze. On the other side of the swamp lay an airplane, blinded by time, clearly still from the war. But what struck her most was that, as it turned out, she hadn't gone very far, so it really must be safe here. Lisa walked around the plane and stroked the wing. Just think, I wonder why no one has removed it from here. She climbed onto a rock, trying to peek inside, and someone sneezed in there. Startled, Lisa stumbled and nearly fell. "Who's there?" she called. Only silence answered her. She probably would have run away, but it was such a childish sneeze, maybe some forest creature. The girl pulled herself together and climbed onto the rock again. When she finally peered inside, tearful children's eyes peered back at her. "Who are you? What are you doing here? Come on out, I'll help you." The little girl sniffed, unsuccessfully trying to say something. Lisa took a bottle of water out of her pocket. The child greedily drank it, and then Lisa poured the last few drops on her dirty hands and feet. "I was upset with my dad," she finally said. "Then I got lost. I wanted to look at the plane and fell inside and got stuck. I got so scared when it got dark." Lisa gasped. Just think, the child spent the whole night trapped. She imagined how scary it must have been for the girl, and her heart sank. "Let's go. I live nearby. I'll feed you. Then we'll look for your dad, okay? Just tell him not to be angry with me. I didn't get lost on purpose." "I will tell him," Lisa thought to herself, that she would say this so that he wouldn't think anything bad and decide that she was the girl's mother or something like that. She picked up the basket and walked quickly to the village, holding the toddler's hand tightly. She, apparently recovering from the stress, did not stop talking for a minute. Lisa learned that the girl had no mother and that she and her dad lived together in the city. Her father is very good but works a lot, which is why Katie, that was the child's name, gets upset with him. This time, she asked her dad to take her to see the swans on the lake and then to the forest to listen to the cuckoo, but he said he was very busy and would have to wait. Katie didn't want to wait at all, so that's how they ended up here. By the time Katie finished her story, they had already reached the house. The girl was suddenly very tired. She barely managed to eat a couple of spoonfuls of soup before falling asleep. Lisa laid her on the couch, covered her, and wondered what to do next. The solution presented itself. She had to run to Aunt Rita's. Rita is aware of all the news. The whole area must be up in arms looking for the child. Her father must be going mad. "Call whoever you need to," said Lisa, "and I'll run to your place. She's been through enough, spent the night in the woods." Lisa barely had time to return home for about 30 minutes when 2 cars pulled up to the house. She rushed to the door to warn them not to make noise, but didn't have time. A young man burst into the house and, after throwing a cursory glance at Lisa, shouted, "Katie! Baby girl!" The girl opened her eyes and immediately rushed to her father's neck, sobbing, "Forgive me! I was so scared! I'll never run away again!" The man stroked her head. "And I forgive you. We will go see the swans and listen to the cuckoo." Katie pulled away. "Will Lisa go with us?" Her father looked at Lisa. She blushed. Igor turned out to be some kind of computer genius. He was paid very well, and apparently he invented something. Lisa didn't understand much about computers, so she didn't understand what he was telling her when they walked to the lake a week later. Katie ran ahead. Finally, the girl stopped. "Dad, you're like a little boy. You don't talk to girls about things like that." Igor was embarrassed. "Sorry, Lisa. I rarely socialize with the fairer sex. I simply forgot what one is supposed to talk about." At that moment, the awkwardness melted away. For the remainder, they enthusiastically argued about why swans have such long necks, what time the sun sets, and whether aliens fall in love. Then Igor and Katie walked her home. There, he left the car. They rented a house for the summer in a neighboring village. They said goodbye for a long time. First, Katie didn't want to let Lisa go, then Igor held her hand for quite a long time. Finally, the car moved off, and Lisa sighed, heading home. You see, I told you. Our village is good. The place is favorable. Here you will find everything, including a groom. Lisa turned around and saw Aunt Rita smiling. She laughed. Oh, come on, Aunt Rita. Igor is not my groom. We just talk because of Katie. Lisa strode toward the house, whispering, You won't escape your fate, Lisa. A year later, Lisa and Igor returned to the village to invite Rita to become their newborn daughter's godmother. How could Rita refuse the young family such a request, especially since Katie asked her so nicely? If you like the story, support me by clicking the like button. It's a small gesture for you, but very important to me. All the best. Lisa looked at the old small house. It was far from the mansion, but she was incredibly happy with it after leaving the orphanage. For almost 3 years, she had been shuffled between various officials' offices, unsuccessfully trying to find her housing. It's good that here they don't abandon their own. And here she lived, first with one person, then with another. When she was told that the only thing available was a small house in the village, Lisa was indignant at first. But the official just smiled slyly and said that if she didn't like it, she would have to wait another year or 2. Lisa agreed. After all, people do live in villages. Maybe it will be easier there, she thought. The girl resolutely opened the door and went inside, then sneezed. Dust was lying everywhere in thick layers, but the house had one decent plus. At least there was some furniture in it. Lisa rolled up her sleeves and started cleaning. Not half an hour had passed when someone knocked on the door. Lisa called out in fright. No one was expecting her. A woman of about 45 was standing on the threshold, smiling amiably. Hello? I wondered who was rummaging around in this abandoned house. Lisa did not smile back. Well, yes. Basically, they gave it to me because I'm an orphan. The woman frowned. How so? It is barely fit to live in. Where is this world heading? The woman stepped forward. How are you going to live here? It's awful here. Give me a break. Lisa shrugged. Well, little by little. What followed was that the woman rallied her family to help tidy up the house faster. Lisa tried to stop her, saying that she would cope slowly on her own, and that she didn't have any money to pay them anyway. The mention of money made Rita stop. Let's agree right away. No talk of money. Here in the village, we are like one big family. So don't mention money. People here are open, they want to help, offer, or sell something, and they talk about it directly. Do you understand? Lisa nodded. Yes, you are right. Well, good, but you still haven't introduced yourself. Lisa. Beautiful name. Okay, we'll be back soon. And Rita disappeared through the door as abruptly as she had appeared. Lisa didn't even have time to blink and understand what had just happened when the door swung open again, this time without knocking. Meet my husband, Michael. He will examine everything and see what needs to be repaired. And this is my daughter, Anne. Now she will be your neighbor.